Swinging a high drive into center field. It's at the wall. It is gone. Casas does it again. It's gone. It's into the bullpen. This game is tied.
He swings and rips one to center field. It's high. It's deep. It's back. It's gone. Sale winds. He fires. Swing and a miss. Strike three. It's over. The Red Sox have won the World Championship.
Welcome back to Play Tessie. It is episode 106. If you're listening on drop day, we are on to August. It's August 1st. This is the official podcast of pitching to Raffy Devers in extra innings with first base open with righties in your bullpen to face Ref Snyder. Whoops! Also known as the official Red Sox podcast of WEI. Before we get going, hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening, whether you're on the Odyssey app, Apple, Spotify. Hit the subscribe button, rate us 5 stars. We really appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find us on the WEI page. We have a Play Tessie podcast playlist in there. But if you're watching there, go to your podcast platform and subscribe there too, because it helps us out a ton. We really appreciate it when you guys subscribe. And if you've subscribed in one place, subscribed in another. Just subscribe. Here with Sammy, here with Joe. And if you listen to this show, you know that I usually kick these things off and I don't know. I don't want to call it a monologue because that makes me sound like righteous or something. But I say some words and I talk about like how I'm feeling about things. But this episode, I feel like Sammy needs to be the one to do this. He lives with a Mariners fan. So I'm just, Sammy, the floor is yours.
So, yeah, it's been an interesting Monday through Wednesday. First game was great. I was ruling the apartment. Felt great. Patriots beat the Seahawks 14-7. Great time. Then Tuesday night, my girlfriend and I went to the game, and she just danced on my grave inside of my house at Fenway Park. It felt very bad as the Red Sox got smoked by the Mariners, who were they didn't get smoked. 4-run game, okay, wasn't that bad, but felt like they got smoked by the Mariners, who were missing 2 of their best players, J.P. Crawford and Julio Rodriguez. So that wasn't great. And then this third game, for my mental health, I needed them to win. Like I can't have them lose this series. I'm never going to hear the end of it. So I was sweating bullets in that ninth inning. Actually, not even the 9th and 10th inning, like the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. Just needed them to win. Thank God they got it done. That was stressful. I don't like Red Sox Mariners. It's not contentious. I just always get roasted at some point in the series by my girlfriend and her family and friends and everything. So I survived this one. The Red Sox won the season series. They now have the tiebreaker over Seattle. So take that. I feel good. I feel like I won this round.
It was important for them to get this win for Sammy especially. But you talk about the anxiety that you had in the third game, and like we'll talk about the first 2 games, but it really, you can't overstate how important getting the third game was for our mental healths. And I feel like so much of it has to do with just how freaking similar this year overall feels to last year, where, I mean, to a T, I mean, they were playing the Mariners during last year's deadline too. And man, it just, like, if they had lost this game, I really don't know how the conversation goes today, but that's a lot of what would have been coming out of my mouth. But I think it's important to just take the good vibes and try to make it not like last year, because I mean, just naturally to me, like, because it's how the last couple of years have gone, where the trade deadline is kind of the beginning of the end for the team, it almost like feels like an inevitability. But that's just my natural instincts. That's not how I, like, in my head and my heart, feel about this particular group. But because of the last few years, that's how I'm kind of just trained to feel. They've conditioned me into feeling like that. And so they're going to Texas next, and I'm also going to Texas. That my bachelor party is literally renting out a house in Texas to go to the entire Red Sox series. Me and 11 of my friends are going to this entire series of games. And man, I got to tell you, I live and die with these games so much at this kind of year or at this time of year that, I mean, obviously I'd be pumped to go on the trip, but like I'm waking up super early tomorrow morning. If they were coming off a loss too, it would have been a pretty big damper getting on the plane. I will tell you that.
Gordo texted us. What'd you say? You were like, man,
it was in response. You said something first.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I'm going to be in such a bad mood for the next day if they lose this game. Because it's an off day on Thursday, today, when you're listening, for the listeners. But yeah, you had a great comment about like, I'm going to be pissed off at my bachelor party because losing a game in July. That's how sick we all are.
Dude, you're getting married. We're going to celebrate you. There's like 2 out of 3 against the Mariners.
Sammy says
the playoffs.
Sammy says, I dodged a bullet. He goes, so Joe said he needed 20 minutes to start. Sammy said, no rush. I'm decompressing. I just dodged being angry for 24 hours. It's like a near-death experience. I said, yeah, me too. I just dodged being in a bad mood heading into my own bachelor party. LMAO, praise the Lord.
Yo, you know what's funny? We always talk about like, oh, we need this win for our mental health. That conversation just kind of proves that no matter what happens, we're kind of screwed when it comes to the Red Sox. We're always going to be crazy in some way about this team, but it's just, it's fun. It's much more enjoyable to be crazy about a team after a win. So
it was funny, like Sammy.
Life.
The mental health thing with the Red Sox is funny because Cora. So Joe and I were sitting in the dugout, and Cora walked by us. This is 24 hours before the trade deadline, and Cora goes, "You fellas excited?" And I thought he was talking about the game. I was like, "Yeah, like let's get one." He goes, "24 hours." I was like, "What?" Like, I didn't even like, I was like, no, I literally said we live and die with every game. And then as he left, I realized what he was talking about. He's talking about the trade deadline. I'm like, no, man, I'm just excited for the game. I just like, and then they ended up winning by 1 million runs.
Did you hear what Zach Kelly and I, like our conversation at a winter weekend when I said, I made some weird comment about when we were all out together. I made a comment about like, oh yeah, Red Sox fans are crazy. Like me, my mental health is completely dictated by the Red Sox. And Zach Kelly goes, yeah, me too, man. I'm like, oh, that's right. You're on the team. Sorry, a little more serious for you.
It's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, if you're on the team, people like respect that. It's like, but we're just lunatics. And like, honestly,
Fever pitch, dude. Fever pitch ruined us. It ruined our whole bit of being crazy Red Sox fans.
Yeah, but like the thing is, I feel like in Fever Pitch, they're like trying to like make an exaggeration, like a joke. I do feel like he's kind of like an exaggerated version of us.
Fever Pitch actually wasn't a comedy. It's actually a biography documentary. It was in that category of the Oscars.
It's a true story.
Do you think it's not, Sammy? Do you think it's not exaggerated? I think it's exaggerated in the sense that like the things that he, like what was it? It was his girlfriend. And
did I tell you about? I
told
you
about
to
Paris.
I don't know. I haven't seen that forever. But did I tell you about the first grade teacher at Dover Sherburne, where I grew up? I didn't have this guy as my teacher, but I always wanted him. I wanted to be in his class because if there was a day game during the week, he would put the Red Sox on the side on one of those roller, those carts that had the big TVs.
The TVs that had the VCR and the DVD player on one
Red
shelf
Sox
and
on
the TV
like
on the other.
Yeah,
that was the sign of an easy day. Those things were the best.
Yep. Yeah, man. Anyway, yeah, we're all nuts.
Yeah, we're psychopaths, but let's talk about the series a little bit. I mean, the first game going into it, a little bit uneasy just because of how the Yankees series finished off. Uneasy because you're going into the trade deadline. You don't know what they're going to do. Not uneasy in the sense that you thought that like if they lost, they would sell or anything, but like it's just like this time of year, like you gotta get hot at some point, and it's just felt like a difficult time to turn it around just based off of who the Mariners had on the mound. Logan Gilbert in the first game, having probably the best season out of any of the guys they were going to face. But I mean, it's not like it got any easier with Castillo and then Kirby. But you got Logan Gilbert on the mound, and the Red Sox bullpen is just so shot, and you need length. And they got it from Nick Pivetta, who didn't quite finish the 7th inning, but got you through it. And the offense obviously was really the hero of that game. Of course, I mean, everyone hit the ball well, and it left you in a position where you could put recently now DFA'd Trey Wingenter into the game. He can, Sammy, you can say what he did. He wing entered the game.
DFA land. Quickly.
He wing entered it.
I mean, you can't take away. He certainly is a guy who was on the team.
Yes, he will be known as a Red Sox legend in Sammy's mind forever.
Future guys being dudes.
Yeah, I was going to say
True.
that's the kind of guy that will reference.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of, who was the one I mentioned? Oh, Jamie Westbrook, who's going to be the best recall name in like 10 years from now. Remember Barrel Man? He didn't really hit the ball very much, but
You're
when
so
he
right.
did, yeah, when he did,
Remember the guy who called himself Barrel Man?
yeah, he didn't hit the ball much, but when he did, oh my God, he was like a fire hydrant of strength. So anyway, please continue.
But yeah, I mean, I'll read off the guys who hit well in this game. Duran was 2 for 4. Abreu was 2 for 5. Yoshida was 3 for 5. Devers was 1 for 3. Romy was 1 for 1. O'Neill 1 for 5 with an RBI double. Dom Smith 2 for 4 with a bomb and a double off the wall. Connor Wong 2 for 4. Rafael 2 for 4. Abreu, Yoshida. Wait, Abreu didn't homer. Yoshida, Wong homered, and Romy homered, if I have that right. Just a lot of offense. The third inning really though was where it all changed. And honestly, like, so one of my buddies is a video guy for the Mariners. He made the trip and I got a drink with him after the game. And I was like, what the hell happened to Logan Gilbert? And he couldn't even tell me. Just he blamed it on the missed strike 3 call that preceded the entire inning.
Yeah, I mean, let's address it. That's kind of the elephant in the room. Wilyer Abreu got a great call from the ump. Would have been strike 3. And that at bat continued for, the total was double digit pitches, but yeah, it just went on and on and on.
At least a dozen, I think.
Yeah, I think it was, like a 12 or 13. It was a really long at bat. One of those at bats where like the hitting coach has to buy you a steak or something like that. Cause it was a great performance, but he did get some luck. Then he wins the battle against Gilbert, but Logan Gilbert he's an ace pitcher. I know he's like the second or third best guy on the Mariners, but most teams, he's an ace and he's legit. He has to be able to bounce back. So there were a lot of people saying like, oh, that missed call really helped the Red Sox. Sure, it did. But you got to give credit to the Wilyer Abreu specifically and the rest of the guys who followed. That's still a tough pitcher. And I mean, as much credit as I want to give the Red Sox, if you're Logan Gilbert, man, you got to be able to settle down in that spot. And he just couldn't. He wasn't getting any. He was spinning the slider, curveball, his breaking ball, whatever it is.
Bad.
Yeah, it was like a cement mixer out there, and then the Red Sox just completely teed off on him. So to be able to turn a pitcher like that into a complete pumpkin that quickly, pretty impressive.
Yeah, we've seen it in the.
You want the sequence? You want to hear the sequence of what happened here with that after Wilyer? Because I mean, the game pretty much ended right there in the third. It was a pitcher's duel. It looked like it was going to be like a 2-hour game, but the Sox had just scored on a wild pitch. Connor Wong scored, made it 1-0, and then Wilyer had the at bat that you're referencing, makes it 2-0. Yoshida homers, makes it 4-0. Then Devers doubles. O'Neill doubles him in. Dom doubles him in. Wong doubles him in. So it's 7-0 off of all that. I mean, the game just completely.
Yeah, you can't blame that on a singular missed call. Sure, it helped the Red Sox, but that whole thing, you have to give credit to the bats, and Logan Gilbert deserves a lot of blame for that. That's not him. I've seen, I mean, we just spoke about it.
Yeah,
we've seen it. Mariners fan. I watch a lot of Logan Gilbert. He's nasty. That was Red Sox got to him.
Yeah, we've seen it happen before where a bad call leads to a big hit. I think I remember in the 18 run, Justin Verlander should have struck out JD Martinez. Next bat, he crushes it.
Yes.
But it's not necessarily after that pitch, right after that pitch. It's the batters after that, because you can let up that big hit, but when it comes one after another, after another, after another. So yes, you can blame Gilbert, but you also got to credit the Sox lineup for just continuing to be relentless, not being patient, waiting for their pitch, and they just get hit after hit, and they eventually knock Gilbert out after a really short time. So it was all about, at least on Gilbert's side, getting past that initial batter. Like, yeah, you can walk Abreu, but you got to get the guys after that. You got to be able to rebound to shut those guys down after him.
It's what we talked about with Bello all season. It's like one bad thing happened, it just ruined his day. I do think that the way the slider looked, he would have got anyway at some point, but I mean, I don't know what happened, but that inning changed the game because it allowed. I mean, obviously they did a lot more after that, and it ended up being a 14-7 game, but it was a lot more of a blowout than that. It was the Trey Winginter letting in 4 runs show. that got it that close. But we don't forget how badly the Red Sox needed a reset day for the Penton. Like they needed not just a win, but a win like that.
Yeah, and that's why they stuck with big enter. Not a great performance by him. But yeah, that game wasn't as close as the score, and the score wasn't close. So it says a lot about that game. What I was going to say a minute ago was I wonder if I don't recall if Logan Gilbert's his breaking ball, was it spinning up in the zone in the first 2 innings, or was that just after that Abreu kind of long inning? I don't know. But regardless, Red Sox got to a really good pitcher. You got to give them credit for that. That felt good. That was like to see them score 2 touchdowns against the best pitching staff in baseball.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you, Gordo, that this was a much needed win. Not winning the game, but having a game like that where they can rest about through the first 4 or 5 innings. And as you said, go to the wingman and just let him get knocked around, knowing that it's not even gonna affect anything.
Hold on. Stop for a second. That is such an obvious nickname. And Sammy, you call him Big Enter. Like, there's a million nicknames you could come up with based off of wing, but you had to go with the enter part.
It's wing enter. So Big Enter. Wing enter the game.
I don't know if that's going to roll off the tongue, but just to finish my point, that runaway win was absolutely needed because it reset the bullpen. And not only that, but I know we'll get into the later games, but even that game too, when you see Criswell ending the game, you think about today's game, the third game of the series. Does Zach Kelly pitch that well? If not for the Monday win, where they can just ride with Winter? Does can Kenley pitch like that? I know he had some troubles, but that was a big reset. And as you said, Gordo, much needed for that team.
Yeah, I mean, this season is a great kind of masterclass on the value of fungible depth in a bullpen. Like Chase Anderson, 52 innings pitched. They weren't that pretty, but now your bullpen's a lot more fresh down the stretch for that. Winginter, he stunk on Monday night, but he ate those innings for your pitching staff, and now they don't have to go the next day. So, you don't want to go to these kind of pitchers too much, but there's value in guys who can just kind of sit out there and eat innings, I guess.
The value is putting yourself in a position where the innings at the end don't matter. Because that's why Chase Anderson was so good, is because it didn't matter if he let in 5 or 6 runs. What mattered is that he was able and willing to go out there and eat 3 innings. And
right. And
I guess that's now the Criswell. Yeah, you didn't, and it killed you. I mean, it's fascinating that it took them literally to the end of spring training to have that guy locked in. I really wonder if he didn't get, if he'd made, I think he was with the Pirates. If he'd made that team, like who even plays that role? Maybe Criswell makes the roster and he's
remember he was with the Pirates. Red Sox got him in spring training. He just drove to Fort Myers and he was there the next day. But it's you're right, Gordo. The value is getting to that point, but then you need a guy to be as our friend Ed Hand says, either the human white flag or the human victory cigar. So fungible depth. It's important, although not exciting.
I'm sad that we're never gonna I wish that the Big Enter could have been that guy, because we could have had Wing and Wink, and we've been robbed of that, which kind of breaks my heart. And you know what else breaks my heart?
Not Enter and Kowski.
I like Wing and Wink. Or Wink and Wing.
Enter Kowski, did you say?
Wing
for using the back half of their names like you want.
Kowski Enter. I don't know. It's not working. We got to workshop this. Well, we don't have to, because Winginter probably is never coming back. So
yeah, he's probably not. But let's get to the game too. This was the game that started uncomfortably quickly after the deadline passed. I felt like I was still decompressing from the deadline, and all of a sudden James Paxton's throwing the first pitch of the game. So at first I liked that there was more time in the day for the deadline. It used to be at 4, now it's at 6, and there's more time. But at the same time as that, it's I might need a little bit more time to wind down from all of the phone staring before I need to watch the game. But whatever. Was a I don't want to say obviously they're all big games in a way, but it was the game where you were going to see just what James Paxton was going to look like in a Red Sox uniform. And we obviously talked. If you're looking for trade deadline talk, you can click on the episode right below this one, because we talked for a while. Drop it on an episode that dropped yesterday about the trade deadline and our thoughts on Paxton. But
we had some that's if you haven't listened to that episode, definitely go back and listen, because we had some dissenting opinions and we were going back and forth on, like, you know, there's times when we're on the podcast and we're all on the same page and we kind of just move on. But this was good. We had some good back and forth, spirited debates about the team. So it was a weird trade deadline. Like, quickly, I won't stay on this too long, but like, they checked all the boxes, but like, is that enough? So definitely go back and listen to that one if you haven't already, because we really dig into it.
yeah, and in terms of like, is that enough? The biggest discussion was with James Paxton, and you kind of saw it in the start. I mean, yes, he's going to be a guy that's going to make the starts for you as long as he stays healthy, which obviously is a question mark, but he's been healthy this year. And as long as he can stay healthy, he'll make the starts. And if the defense played behind him, he would have kept you in the game. But watching him is a different experience than like watching Bello in the third game. And we'll get to Bello in the third game, but he looked fantastic to me for almost the entire game up until the very end. But with Paxton, it is a little bit of you see him and you just got to hope that the ball ends up in the right spot, because the stuff is good enough to get outs as long as he doesn't leave it over the middle of the plate. The fastball was down compared to where it was in his last start, which came against the Red Sox, where it sat kind of 95, 96. And in this game was a lot of 93-ish. If he keeps it above the zone, it gets swing and misses. And it did when he kept it above the zone. But when he left it over the middle, that's like when Jorge Polanco takes him deep. And in the end, he let up 6 runs, 3 of which were earned. It would have been interesting to see what he would have done had the defense played behind him. I think he probably could have gone like 5 innings, 3 runs, 5 or 6 Ks, and you move forward and try to win the game. But we'll never know.
Yeah, I agree with you. You kind of covered it all. Way too middle with the fastball. The velocity's down from earlier in the year. It's good they added a starter, but you know, he's far from perfect. 35 years old too. So we'll see. You don't need him to be the greatest pitcher of all time. So if he can give you an outing kind of like Tuesday, slightly better, maybe gets a little bit better defense behind him, they'll be all right.
Yeah, I guess the issue with that, at least from what we had in the trade deadline discussion when talking about Paxton, is how much do you put on the bad defense behind him? Was Paxton able to go, like, he obviously could have gone longer if his defense had gotten him a couple outs, but as you guys were saying, he basically only had 2 pitches in that Monday start, or Tuesday start, I should say, and he's a guy who normally has a 4-pitch mix. So I don't know if that's him getting accustomed to this philosophy that Andrew Bailey has put and inserted into his mind. We don't know that case, but it's still too early, I think, to write the book out on Paxton.
You can't.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
Joe,
absolutely. After one
you're not allowed. He's making the starts.
Exactly. He's going
no
to be, he's going to be your 5th starter. So you honestly can't make that assumption of was getting Paxton the right move or not until we see a bunch of more starts, because this one was kind of at least middle for me. Like, he didn't pitch great, but he could have gotten some help from the defense.
And the interesting thing to see, because Criswell finished the game with 3 innings of all zeros, like no hits, no walks, no strikeouts, but 3 perfect innings. And he and Paxton coming from the left and right side with both, not like Criswell's, I mean, they both have interesting arm angles, more so Criswell, but it'd be an interesting combo if Criswell is fresh to piggyback. If you thought that Paxton could keep his velo up by sticking to like 4 innings, if you wanted to go like Paxton for 4 and Criswell for 2 or 3 and go from there, it could be interesting. But I want to go back to the defense, because there were 4 balls that inning hit in the infield that either were errors, or there was like that play to Devers where the ball was hit to third base and he tried to tag the guy on third out and he didn't get the out and ended up loading the bases, and that led to a 3-run double. But there was a lot of nonsense in the infield, and I don't know if, like, and if you missed it, Nick Sogard is gonna he got called up and he's in all likelihood going to make his major league debut while he's up here, and he got called up for Jamie Westbrook, and one thing that Nick Sogard certainly does better than Jamie Westbrook is play defense. So I wonder how much of that move was a reaction to, oh my God, I cannot in either management or the dugout is I can't like in the reaction to I can't let this defense do this again, do what they did last year and do what they did in April.
I don't know if it's like a reaction. I mean, Westbrook had been up for a while and, Sogard's been cooking in AAA for a while. I think it was kind of just like, all right, that was kind of the tipping point. So that's how
Yeah.
more of a tipping point rather than a reaction, I would
definitely.
say. So, you know, quickly, let's cover Jamie Westbrook. Amazing story, 11 years in the minors. He comes up, plays for his hometown Red Sox. I believe he's from, where's he from? Holyoke, Springfield. He's from that area, kind of central Mass. And he had some moments. It wasn't like he did nothing. Like, of course, the numbers aren't spectacular, but he had some moments. He had that home run in Colorado. He had another home run. I think it was White Sox or something, but he had moments. And on a personal level, just interacting with him in spring training, he was nothing but nice to Gordo and I. I've never heard a bad thing about the guy. So whether it's with the Red Sox, another major league team, or elsewhere, I think we can all agree that we're rooting for Jamie Westbrook. It's just, right now it was time to move on for the Red Sox. So, and then on Sogard, you're getting kind of, if you're familiar with Eric Sogard, his cousin, kind of a similar player, a little scrappy infielder, decent wheels, good defense, can hit a little bit. So that's the kind of guy you want on your bench, kind of a little bit similar to Romy Gonzalez. So, I'm not going to light the world on fire, but it's definitely a useful player. He didn't make his debut today, Wednesday, as we record, but guy you should look out for. It sounds like he's going to be. Sounds like there's like officially a platoon, according to what Cora said.
Yeah.
Platoon at second, so Sogard's going to play against lefties, and you're going to get probably Hamilton against righties, and then Romy's going to be mixed in there at various spots. So, stuff is happening. It's exciting. We'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because, and I wonder also because, and as of when I put together the preview stuff a little over an hour ago, the Rangers hadn't announced their pitchers yet, but if it's going as it looks, it's going to be 3 righties on the mound. So I wonder if with that, Cora wanted to prioritize like maybe having a defensive replay. I don't know, because Hamilton plays fine defense, but Hamilton's also been pretty cold lately. I don't know where the numbers are at right now, but he's somewhere around like 3 or 4 for his last 32 or 33.
Yeah, he's gone away from being someone you need. I remember months ago we said you absolutely have to have him in every day.
And he was hitting at the top of the lineup, and now he's hitting 8th.
To be fair, today he didn't get a hit, but he had 2 barrels, 2 balls that were hit well over 300 feet toward the track. So maybe a good sign. But yeah, he's been ice cold lately. Kind of, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't say needs a reset because, like I said, it looked like he was kind of seeing the ball well today. We'll see.
He's looked okay kind of the whole time. Like I didn't even really notice that he wasn't playing that well until I saw the numbers. Like I feel like he's been hitting the ball okay. It's not he's like up there striking out every time. Like you notice when a guy goes up there and he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. Like that
looks like a
bunch
not
of
malarkey. Yeah, no, he's fine. I'm not super concerned about him. We never were disillusioned to think he was going to be a superstar player. He's a guy who can, he can hit a little bit. He's got unbelievable speed and he can play both middle and infield spots. So I think he's going to get some playing time in this Texas series coming up. He's probably going to start at second base most of those games, if not all of them. So look for him to heat up because he looked fine today despite the results. That's why you got to watch the game.
Yeah.
Gordo.
Last thing before we move on to the third game, which was definitely the most exciting game of the series, or at least the most contentious. I don't know. Gave us anxiety. Tense. Yeah. Before that, I have to talk about maybe my favorite player to come through this organization in the last 10 years. Yohan Ramirez.
Oh my God. I'm headed out. Later, guys. Thanks for listening. Take care.
Yohan Ramirez. And this isn't a joke. Like I actually, it's frustrating because like he's not good.
What? It's not a joke? How could this not be a joke?
Dude, it's not a joke. I actually like the guy.
What do you like about that? Okay, tell me.
You've known him for 1 hour.
Give me one thing you like about Yohan, and it cannot be his extension percentile.
It's the body.
Oh,
it's the body.
You like his body?
Body?
You like Yohan's body? You're going to mess with the Yohan?
I do. And he's got reasonable stuff. It's not like he's throwing 100, but it's not like some of these relievers they bring up where they're just kind of like throwing 92 and kind of hoping you hit the good spot. Like, no, he's got good stuff. It's just that he has no idea where it's going. And to be honest with you, like, I get it, like the DFA, because you can't just like have a guy in the majors in these important games and have him figure it out up here. You're going to have to hope that he's going to pass through waivers and hopefully work with him in AAA, and hopefully he comes back next year and you work with him in spring training. But I'm telling you, one of these days, Johan is going to, whether it be with the Red Sox or if he catches on with some other team, he's going to end up being one of those random relievers that somehow figures it out. And you're all going to be like, how the hell did that happen? And I'm going to be sitting here and be like, I fucking told you.
I have a Johan. Actually. My Johan is in Asia. Darwinzon Hernandez.
Hey.
I thought Darwinzon Hernandez had a big future as a closer or a setup man or just a lefty that comes out of the bullpen. You don't really know where it's going, but his stuff is so electric. He's effectively wild. So maybe that's and by the way, he's killing it overseas. So he'll be back soon. The return of Darwinzon is imminent.
You ain't seen the last of him yet.
Jokes aside, I actually agree with you. I hope they can hang on to Johan, because as disgusting as his performance was on Tuesday night, he does have the extension thing, which matters. Like if you have that high of a percentile, I know he's in the 90s, like 93rd percent extension. That is a nightmare for hitters. Logan Gilbert does it very well. He's probably the best at it. Terrible example for this episode, but you get the point anyway. And he's got some nasty stuff. He throws hard. He's got that devilish slider. So if they could tweak him, yeah. But right now for 2024, I don't want to see that fucking guy anywhere near Fenway Park. No, thank you, Johan. Maybe next year.
Sammy, you scared me with the Darwinzon thing, because it's actually a great comp, and Darwinzon's stuff is even more electric. So, but I'm sticking to my guns. Johan is going to be good at some point. I'm sticking to my guns. He was terrible. He threw like at least one ball to the backstop, hit two guys. Like that's just what you're going to get with him right now. So. Yeah, Sox lose 10-6, battled back a little bit. It was good to see the fight. They were down, I believe, 10-3. Yeah, they were down 10-3. They were down 10-3 and battled back a little bit. Had a chance. They had second and third, 2 outs, and if Wong had hit a single, it would have been 10-8 going into the 8th inning. So, I mean,
just wasn't their night.
Yeah, wasn't their night is what it is. But that's what made the third game all that much more important to get. And entering a game facing George Kirby is never easy. That guy doesn't walk a soul, except for somehow I feel like every time he faces the Red Sox, he does. And he did walk one today, and it bit him, because that's how they got that first run. Walks Masa Yoshida, ends up getting a third on the Devers double. And then another very uncharacteristic wild pitch from George Kirby got him in. And man, I mean, if that doesn't happen, the Red Sox, I mean, I was about to say probably don't win this game, but they don't win the game.
So they don't win the game. George Kirby this year, I'm double checking right now. It looks like he has, this dude's so good. He's got 14 walks, 15 now after today. And 3 of them have come against the Red Sox. So
wow,
maybe the Red Sox are the secret to George Kirby. Well, we do have to talk about the first pitch of the game, which was really nice. Class act by George Kirby. George Kirby has been messing around with a knuckleball for, I think, like 2 years now. And he doesn't really throw it much at all. Like once every few games, you'll see it. But today, playing against the Red Sox at Fenway Park, the first time he's played at Fenway since Tim Wakefield passed away, the king of the knuckleball. And George Kirby started out Jarren Duran with a knuckleball. And I don't know if he told Duran, like, yo, I'm throwing a knuckleball on the first pitch. Like, it's not going to be a strike. Don't swing or what. But regardless, class act. I think everyone in Boston appreciated that. That was a really nice gesture. And respect to George Kirby for that. That was cool.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the video of that, there's really good slow-mo. George Kirby has a legitimate knuckleball. Like, this isn't some like fuckery here. Like, he actually, like, he threw it last year on the day that Wake passed at the very end of the season. And very cool to see him pay the respects today. The 49 hangs above the monster every game. And, you know, I know for a guy who respects and loves the hell out of Wakefield, that definitely looms large when you come to Fenway Park. So that was really cool to see. Yeah,
it's cool to see. It's also like completely different generation too. So the fact that he was, you know, cognizant of that and what it meant to Red Sox fans, McDonough and Will Fleming said it on air. Without meeting the guy, you can estimate that he's a good kid. So thank you, George Kirby. Even though you're on the Mariners, we do like you here in Boston. You should come play for the Red Sox someday. You can be a knuckleball.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Be cool.
But
I'll take you.
the thing with Kirby though is he is, because of the walk thing, like Sammy, you said it, like 15 walks on the season. It's hard to get that guy out of the game early because if you got to swing the bat. If you don't swing the bat, you're going to be down 0-2. So he only walked the one guy, but the Sox got him out in the 6th inning. He only went 5 1/3. George Kirby rarely doesn't finish 6 innings. He is probably finishing 6 innings at probably 80% of his starts.
Yeah, can I repeat the stat that I just said?
Go.
He has 15 walks this year. This year, he's only walked. He's a starting pitcher.
How many innings?
130.2 plus however many he pitched today.
That's ridiculous.
That's
so
like
137.
half a walk. That's like
it's
not less than half a walk per
Oh,
start.
yeah. He has the lowest walk rate in baseball. At the beginning of this game, he was at exactly 1. So he's probably at like 1.1 after walking one guy. So that's how good he is. When he walks one guy, his rate goes up. So, yeah, George Kirby, that right there is a legit young ace pitcher, the kind of guy you give up everything for to acquire. Obviously, there's no shot the Mariners trade him, but if there's ever a team with an opportunity to get a guy like that, you give whatever it takes because good God. And by the way, how old is he? 25?
He's
26. He's probably going to keep getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Be very happy the Red Sox beat him today.
All of these things that we're saying here is why, especially with Kirby and especially early in the game, it's why you need to take advantage of the opportunities you get because he's a guy that settles in, and the Sox got him early and they got him late. And the early thing, like wild pitch, and the end though, very big RBI single from newcomer Danny Jansen. But there were a lot of opportunities in the middle that the Sox didn't get, and it felt like that was going to be kind of what did them in today. But I mean, Brayan Bello, you guys tell me if you agree with me. He let in 2 runs, so this take feels a little bit hotter than it felt when I thought of it during the start. But that felt like the best I'd seen Bello all season.
Yeah, if it's not the best, then it's close. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is that he made adjustments. He broke out a new windup today in July, late July, breaks out a new windup with the little hesitation, kind of Johnny Cueto-ish, as Will Fleming put it. So to see him trying new stuff, that's cool to see. It shows that he's like working with the staff and he's taking everything in, which we won't name names, but you can't say that for every guy on the staff. So good to see Bello doing that. And then also, we spoke about this before recording. He had that inning where he was about to get out of the inning. Dylan Moore comes up, kind of a utility guy, not super threatening, and he hits a little dorky little RBI single into left field. Run scores, and we've seen Bello kind of unravel in situations like this where he feels like I made a good pitch, the guy made soft contact, drops in, RBI, game is tied now, god damn it, melts down, emotion on the mound. Cora doesn't like it, the fans don't like it, it's just an ugly scene. But he didn't do that today. He settled back in, got out of the inning, was pretty good for the rest of the game, gave up a solo home run. He ran out of gas towards the end, but overall that was one of if not his best, one of his better starts of the year.
I don't know if I can say the best, but I do agree one of the best. Just the factor for me was losing steam near the end. I think if he's going to have his best start, he's got to be able to do it from start to finish. I agree. Bello had some great stuff in the adjustments. I did not expect him to adjust the way he did with the hesitation, as you said, Sammy, Cueto-ish. And considering he's got Kirby, who's a solid ace as his counterpart, the fact that he was able to go tick for tack back and forth and keep his team within it against them, I give him all the credit in the world for that.
Yeah,
that helps him almost. Like I feel like he gets up for bigger games, bigger matchups. Like he's against George Kirby, like you said, Joe. He'll probably be more fired up for that. He feels to me like a guy that in the future, maybe not 2024, but in the future when he's a bearded, big, strong starting pitcher.
He's never going to have a beard.
He doesn't need a beard, but you get the point. When he has like
a beard.
Yeah. When he brings back the hair from earlier this year. Anyway, when he's an adult, like a big adult pitcher, when he's settled into his body and he's like really throwing gas, he's going to be a guy that you want on the mound in the playoffs because he loves those big game moments. And I know people are going to roll their eyes. Stats aren't good. His ERAs in the 5s or around the 5s if he got it under that today. But this is a work in progress. He's still a kid. Brayan Bello's not even close to a finished product. So games like today are what give us, positive vibes, hope for the future for this kid.
Yeah, and I talk about how good I think he looked, but I will say that the stat line had a potential to look a lot worse than it ended up looking, because as Joe brought up, he didn't really finish in the 6th or in the 7th inning, gets the first out, and then he's facing the 9-man and falls behind 3-0 and battles back a little bit, but he loses him. And that was the second walk of the day. He was looking like he was going to finish with just one walk, didn't finish with 2, and walked the 9-man for the second, and then loses the first, or the leadoff guy on a single, gets the guy to third, first and third, one out, and puts the Sox in a bind there because you're in the 7th inning tied 2-2 and it's first and third, one out. But that's when Cora turned to another newcomer, Lucas Sims, who comes into this game. I mean, I feel like ideally with a newcomer, whether it be like a newcomer from the minors or a newcomer via trade, like you don't want him necessarily entering in a crazy tight spot. Like he's already putting enough pressure on himself for his first outing with a new team. Like you'd probably rather it be like 7th inning up 3 runs. Like, yeah, it's a real spot, but like you can get through this. Nope. We're going to put you in a tie game, first and third, one out. And this isn't me blaming Cora, because was absolutely the right move.
It was the move. It was, dude, you know what this was?
Had to.
This was Red Sox trial by fire. And I think if any mindset could handle that, it's a guy like Lucas Sims, who, if you listen to the trade deadline episode, we talked about the most important part of his game. He's fucking nuts. And he loves to scream really loud on the mound when he gets outs. He does the kind of like John Schreiber, when he gets out of an inning. So you need a guy like that. Every World Series team has a psychopath on the mound, and the Play Tessie boys are going to get to the bottom of it shortly. We're going to talk to Sims at some point and see
to do that.
How crazy really are you? Because that was the vibe we got when you came to Boston, and we want you to be crazy. So we'll see.
If your answer is I'm not as crazy as you think, then you got to change it. Get crazy, because we need some crazy. Like
we at Play Tessie will continue his psychotic, not rampage, but
psychotic rampage.
Or whatever phrase you want to put it, his craziness.
He walks to the ballpark and he just like kicks over trash cans and like yells at people on the way to the ballpark. He's just nuts, and people are like, "Who is this guy?" And he's like,
"We're gonna ask him."
Guy on the Red Sox.
We're gonna ask him, and he's gonna be like, I was young, I was whatever, like I was young, and we're gonna be like, no, like. If it happened again, please be crazy.
He's like, I have a lot of plants in my apartment. I like to water my plants. I listen to jazz music. I like to do.
I feel very
yoga
zen
in the morning.
talking to you.
Really excited to do yoga with Casas at some point. Just be zen. We're all just sitting there, kind of like, what?
Yeah,
we thought you were a nutcase. Okay, take it. That's crazy in a different way, but yeah, we'll take it.
No, but shout out Lucas Sims, because he got the pop out on the first pitch. And then walked the next guy, but like it was more or less okay, because whoever was after him was a better matchup. I forget he must have walked. He got Randy, and then that means he walked Raleigh to get to Turner.
Yeah.
And Raleigh's obviously switch hitter, Turner righty.
That's the book on him. That's the book on Sims, is like he's effective, but his issue, is he'll lose guys and he'll walk guys. So
you want to look at that. And then I think in that spot.
Yeah, and I think another thing you want to look for is we spoke about how he has reverse splits. He wasn't using his cutter much early in the season, but he's up the usage on that. So that's something that you want to look out for. You didn't really see too much of him today. It was only a few batters, but as we're watching Lucas Sims, I think an interesting part to look for in his game is if he goes to that cutter a lot. Because apparently, like I said, usage was low, but it was an effective pitch. So I'm sure Andrew Bailey knows all of this, and he's going to tell him to throw that more, along with the slider.
Yeah. The fastball's been what's been getting hit. And I mean, honestly, he's been hot. Like that's the kind of the beauty of what the Sox got in the bullpen at the deadline. Garcia and Sims, both not just having good seasons, but are in good moments of their season now. It's not like both of them are, in Garcia's case, he's on fire. Sims had like a mid-2 ERA in his last like couple months. So he's pitching well. So keep improving what you've been improving. They'll tweak the pitch usage a little bit, try to make it even better. But he was huge. Winkowski came in and had a good inning, hit the one batter, but overall good inning. Kenley Jansen that's where it got a little bit skirt because when the Mariners pitcher looked like he may have blown out his elbow, like good thoughts to him. But as soon as he was shaking his elbow and needed to come out of the game, Kenley walked in from the bullpen. And my first thought was, oh shit, like Kenley's hurt. Like I've never seen a pitcher walk in from the bullpen like that before the inning's over. Like it almost felt like it had to be an injury, but goes into the dugout, comes into pitch, gets through the inning scoreless, but clearly came up lame. Like he couldn't cover first on the ground ball to Dom. The trainer looked at him in the middle of the inning. And after the game, Cora said he slipped and tweaked his back. And that's why he wanted to come in. So I guess he did come in early because he was hurt, but not like so hurt that he couldn't pitch. But like they'll see where it's at on Friday because obviously the back shit can stiffen up. But you got to just cross your fingers and hope because they can't lose him.
Yeah, that was weird. I was trying to think during that moment if I'd ever seen a guy, like a closer, or in this case, a late inning reliever, come in from the dugout or like the clubhouse. So, yeah, interesting. Shall we move on?
Yeah, I mean, last thing is just shout out to Zach Kelly for getting through that inning. Got the guy on third with no outs and got through it. I mean, huge bounce back inning for Zach Kelly. Got the post-game interview. That was awesome and super happy for him because it's been a little bit of a rough go lately, but it not because the stuff is down at all. Like he's still throwing 99. Like it's just figure out where you're throwing it. And he was effective. Like he walked, did he walk two? No, he walked one.
He hit a guy.
Walked one and
he hit a guy. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But it was like the walk, it was in a fine spot. Like it's all strategic and he did his job and it ultimately led to the Mariners making the decision to, instead of putting a righty in and walking Devers, to then face Ref Snyder, a lefty who I forget who was up in that spot, but it was Ref Snyder, lefty, and then Danny Jansen, another righty. But instead they put a lefty in there to face Devers and he immediately walks him off. Sox go home happy. We're happy. Good series and just got to keep building on it. But before we wrap this episode up, the last thing we got to do, and I feel like this will be an interesting discussion because I just, based off of the series, I don't think we're going to have the same MVP picks, but we got to pick a playtesty series MVP. We've not had to pick a playtesty series MVP since the Royal series right before the All-Star break. So it's been a little while, but Sammy, do you want to give your MVP pick first? We'll see how we feel on this.
Yeah, I think this one's easier than it sounds. I'm going with Rafael Devers. He played well all 3 games. In the loss, he had a home run. He had one of his accidental home runs, which is my favorite Rafael Devers thing, where he swings at a pitch, doesn't really get all of it, kind of looks at it weird, and then the ball goes like 375 feet and goes over the wall. Accidental home runs, they're the best. And then, of course, 3rd game of the series, walk-off hit. I think that kind of sealed it for me. I was going back and forth between a few guys. Yoshida probably would have been my pick, but I'm going to go with Rafael Devers, series MVP, the best bat on the team.
Joe, who you got?
Well, I'm actually going to go against Sammy, and I think Yoshida should be the pick, and he is my pick. This is probably the hottest hitter in the lineup right now for the Sox. You look at in game 1, had the homer. It's funny. His home runs really come from out of nowhere just because his swing is so smooth, whether it's a ground ball or a fly ball. Like his swing is always going to be the same. So the home run in game 1 and even in the loss, he has done a really good job of getting the ball in the outfield. He's limiting the ground balls because remember, that was the joke pretty much in the second half of his first season last year. It was just ground ball to second, throw to first, he's out. He's not doing that anymore. He's getting a lot more lift on his swings. And then obviously in the 3rd game, drawing the rare walk against George Kirby and then having the wherewithal not just to score on the wild pitch, but if you remember, he got from first to third because he was running. They executed the hit and run to a T. So I think Yoshida through all 3 games was terrific, and he's my pick for the MVP.
God, this is such a hard one because, like, I like want to give it to Breslow because we talked about Danny Jansen tying the game with a big RBI single. We talked about Lucas Sims coming in and getting out of a huge jam, and the guy who you could make a real argument for series MVP here, Dom Smith, 2 for 4 with a homer and a double, 2 for 4 with 2 doubles, 1 for 4 with a double. So he 4 doubles and a homer in the series. He was peppering the ball all over the field using the monster. The guy is he's been on fire, and he's been such a huge get for the Sox. And I mean, I feel like I'm voting for Dom here, but I'm gonna change it. I'll be the tiebreaker here for you guys. And it's so hard. I think I have to give it to Rafi.
Yeah.
The walk-off. And he hit the homer in the second game. I know they lost the second game, but in the moment there, that put him up 3-1, and they were down 1-0 when he hit it. And like that felt like a big moment, even though it wasn't. Devers has just been, his OPS has been over 1,000 for the last couple of months. I think it's over 1,100 in July. I think he finished over 1,100 in July. So I'll give it to Devers, and we will make him the Play Tessie Series MVP. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you're looking for a preview of the Rangers series, which we usually do in the first episode following a series, we're going to do it in the second one. They got an off day tomorrow. We just wanted to focus on this series. There's a lot to talk about both in the series and like little like drip over from the little deadline conversation mixed in there. But there was just a lot to break down. So we're going to get back in your ear tomorrow to talk Red Sox Rangers series preview. But before that, so you can get the notification when it drops, remember, hit that subscribe button. Wherever you're listening, all podcast platforms, hit the subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, also go to your podcast platforms and subscribe, but also subscribe on YouTube to the WEI page and hit the thumbs up on the videos. We really appreciate it. 5 stars on the podcast platforms. Follow us on the socials at PlayTessie on both Twitter and Instagram. We drop awesome videos with Tyler O'Neill and Danny Jansen. Joe did a great job putting those together. So those are on the socials right now. You can go take a look and follow us there. But for Sammy and for Joe, it's Gordo. Till tomorrow, let's play Tessie, episode 106. Peace.